Welcome back to Proud Veteran Outreach, our show about suicide surviving families. My name is Jim Jurowitz. I'm a military veteran from the U.S. Army, and our show is brought to you by the Proud Foundation and the Vet Centers of Brooklyn Park, New Brighton, and Duluth. So today we're talking about what is the impact on families when a family member commits suicide. And we have talked about the civilian family, and on this show we're going to talk about what the impact can be, or how we can use art in helping the families cope with the suicide survival situation. And today as our guest we have Lori Phillips from the Suicide Survivors Club.
Yes.
And very good, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So the impact, Lori, is about the fact that art is making a difference.
Art is making a difference.
Okay,
yes.
and at the vet centers we have been using art to deal with veterans in transition, maybe not necessarily with suicide, but because veterans are having trouble going from active duty to civilian life, it is a psychological problem for them, and it may lead to depression. And of course, you and I talked about the fact that this depression is leading to suicide. In the military world, 23 military vets are committing suicide on a daily basis. Big numbers, and we want to reduce it. So this is why we're asking the public to assist us in reaching out and identifying the lost, isolated vets. Homelessness also can lead to depression. So the veterans have a high rate of homelessness. 25% of the homeless out there are military veterans. So let's look at what role art plays. And you're an artist, and you're a storyteller, and you're using art as a storytelling, and you're working with an organization. We're using workshops. So tell us how you believe art will help military veterans re-image themselves.
Well, I'm not a mental health professional.
No.
I want to make that clear, but some of our advisors who are mental health professionals have talked about how art helps to cross different parts of the brain. So there's a neuroscience element in how art can help you heal. And so, again, we're not experts at that, but we know that there is scientific evidence that it shows up, and you can find some of that on our website, that really gives hope for people that really want to heal, and that maybe they don't want to go to therapy, or they want a different kind of therapy. And so doing art, doing any kind of art can do that. The kind of art that I really help families do are collage art using stock photo and illustrations that I've cut out of books and magazines. And I've got many bins of photos that people can just go through, and they just pick images that really resonate with them. And they can talk about what it was like before their trauma, and what having that trauma is like, and then what it's like today, and what they might have learned about themselves from going through those other experiences. So it's just a way for a different part of our brain to process our experience and integrate it so that we can heal and move forward into the present day.
Okay, so part of our therapy that we do, and we're very conscious about all kinds of situations that military veterans can be in. We certainly don't want them turning to drugs or alcohol or any other kind of addiction. So one of the art forms that we use is also military veterans are playing guitar. And we have, I believe it's Gibson that is providing 10 guitars to people in the vet centers, so that they can either learn or play guitar together, and it has proven to be very therapeutic.
Beautiful.
We're also doing yoga and meditation, so there is that imaging. So these are all, let's say non-chemical influencers. And so when they turned to the art, they were surprised at how well the art impacted.
Well, and mental health professionals now talk about integrative mental health, so holistic alternative methods of mental health, and definitely art and music is definitely part of that toolkit.
So I'm wondering if you're familiar with a therapy called EMDR. Do you know of it?
I do.
So at the vet centers, all of our therapists are trained in EMDR, and they all use essential oils, believe it or not. And so, there's very advanced holistic thinking about this therapy and this treatment of military vets. So I think there's a huge opportunity to cope with veterans with depression using art. Maybe we need to focus in a little bit more about what your ideas or vision might be in terms of a suicide military vet that did commit suicide, and we want to go to the family of that military vet, surviving family members, and how you believe we can approach them to use art as a therapy for telling their story. Or maybe you can reflect on some of the families that have expressed themselves during your workshops, because we could have exactly the same thing with military vet families.
Yeah. Well, I think the main benefit of telling your story and expressing yourself, and this was, you had a guest, Nick Ron, on recently, and he talked about the importance of not burying your emotions, that if you bury your emotions, you're going to be in trouble. And so we believe the same thing. We believe that when you tell your story, that it helps to release something, and when you hide something, when you're ashamed, and we understand that military veterans and military veterans' families have a unique set of circumstances that civilians just don't. So the stakes are higher for veterans and veterans' families. That's what we've heard. And Suicide Survivors Club would like to help develop materials especially for veterans. So we would really like to collaborate with veterans, families, veterans organizations, but we'd love to do workshops with veterans' families and really help them to tell their own stories and then show their stories to other family members, because sharing stories in communities is so healing, and that's been true since the beginning of time, I believe.
So are you open to the idea of going to the Legion posts, the American Legions and the VFWs, because not only do we have to deal with depression, but we also have generation gap problems, and where millennials are not feeling comfortable going to what is presumed to be baby boomer Legion posts.
Right.
And I think it would be good therapy, good exercise, good community building if we could do some of those workshops and some of those Legion posts.
We'll go anywhere.
So what is the process? So there's a lot of Legion posts, right?
Sure.
So what is the process? What is the relationship that you can count on in terms of NAMI support? So if we could do, let's say, one Legion post a month, could that be executed?
Well, we would have to figure that out, but we would definitely be open to that. Definitely, yes.
And so what is your relationship with NAMI in terms of their encouragement for your outreach?
Well, we are a project of NAMI. We are our own individual business, but we're also under the wing of NAMI Minnesota. And so when we do workshops, a NAMI representative always shows up with us. And so because again, we're not mental health professionals, but we do know the healing power of stories shared with another person who's undergone a similar experience. So that's what we're there for, but we want professionals to be there too.
Okay, so American Legions and VFWs, they both generate revenue, either one way or another, but one interesting way that they generate revenue is through lottery tickets. They generate a lot of money through lottery tickets, and so consequently the state will give them some marketing money to use. So would there be a cost for an American Legion to put on an event like this, or could they make donations? How as an organization would you sustain yourself, or are you strictly surviving on grants?
Well, we have a combination of grants and then the money we make from our books and our workshops. But we're open to charging a fee. We know whatever works. You know, we will work something out, no matter what it takes.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're committed. Yeah.
All right. And so, if a Legion post, and I don't know if you know this or not, but with the American Legions, there's a sector of the American Legions called the auxiliary. And the auxiliary is usually the females or the spouses or the mothers of the soldiers, and they do a lot of craft fairs, you know, baking contests or bake sales and things like that, and they're a very active part of making sure the American Legions are sustainable. And so there's a dependence there. There's also sons of the American Legion. So there is a family environment that is there. So
Beautiful.
It may be a very good place for expression for Suicide Survivors Club's veteran approach.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, so what is the materials that the Legion post would need to provide in terms of setup, or do you bring the?
We bring everything with us.
You bring the materials.
We bring everything, and we do a short introduction with a slideshow of the capacities there, and so we have, if Rebecca and maybe one of her sons tell their story, just a short amount of their story, and then I introduce the process, which is a very simple process, easy to do. And then we just hold the container for people to do their work and keep everyone safe. And then at the end, they share their pieces with each other if they feel like it. If they don't, that's okay too.
And in the process, your books are artistic. What kind of images are you generating?
Well,
I mean, these aren't portraits per se.
No. This is a collage workshop, so you don't have to draw anything if you don't want to.
So kind of like a storyboard.
It's a storyboard, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's easy. If you've ever been a kid, you've got the tools to do this workshop.
And so as my little experience with storyboards is people are cutting pictures out of magazines, and there's a collage a collection of messages that are coming from things they clipped out of magazines or newspapers. Is that the same process?
It is. We have a higher quality of images that I have curated over the years, but that's basically the same process. Yeah.
Great. So we could also do a video recording of that session, because the studio here has equipment that they will allow you to borrow out, so
Great.
We can go do that.
Oh, we could do a field trip.
Yeah.
I love it.
And how about going to a place like Sister Kenny, the Courage Center, Kenny Courage Center? There's military disability projects that are going on there. That again, our artwork is there, and their art collections, what they do for Christmas cards and things like that is pretty remarkable. Are you open to
absolutely.
participate in that process as well?
That would be wonderful. Yeah, thank you. These are great ideas, Jim.
Yeah, because we, this area of TV broadcasting covers Golden Valley. So the Courage Center is in Golden Valley, or there is one in Golden Valley. And so we can certainly make that arrangement.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So again, you're willing to work with NAMI, you're willing to work with vet centers. The Proud Foundation has a relationship with the Roseville American Legion post out there, so we could probably get something going there. And we could share this with the community of St. Paul. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to create a new focus of attention in terms of therapy and doing it through art. So how wonderful is that?
It is totally wonderful. Yeah.
Very good. All right,
Yeah.
Lori, thank you so
Thank
much
you for the work you
coming.
do. It's
I appreciate it,
beautiful.
and thank you
Yes.
for
Yeah.
coming onto the show and making our community aware of your work.
Thank you.